I'm not knocking the pick, dude. I'm not knocking the pick. I'm only not knocking the pick though, because I get my guy. This is my guy. This is my guy. All right, my pick, my last pick of the day. Um, it's going to Joey Smelly Shoes McGuire. This dude, this dude is a dog. This dude is unbelievable. What he did with Texas Tech last year in his first year, people were like, "Oh, let's plug and play Joey McGuire." He was on that Dave Aranda staff. He was pretty good. Awesome, awesome. What beats Texas and Oklahoma for the first time in I don't know, maybe ever. I mean, unbelievable. They won 7-5 in the regular season, which anyone with eyes is like, well, 7-5 is not that good of a record. We're talking relative, all right? Before Joey McGuire got there, their recruiting rankings, 65th in the country, 47th, 46th. I mean, the previous records with Matt Wells there were 4-8, 4-6 in the COVID year, 7-6. I mean, not anything to go home about. I mean, and he did it with 3 quarterbacks. He did with 3 quarterbacks. Injuries all over the place, right? Show started the first game, goes down with the collarbone injury. Donovan Smith comes in, starts the next 4 games. He does really well. Does pretty well. He goes. Baron Morton comes in. He started 3 or 4 games, and they were just winning games. And by the end, the show comes back, and we saw in the bowl game what Texas Tech was looking at peak operation. They absolutely beat the snot out of Ole Miss. They did. He did fantastic. He did fantastic this season, and he's not done. He is not done. Offensive efficiency, they were 47th in the country. Again, with 3 quarterbacks. They were top 50 offense in the country with 3 quarterbacks. Defensively, they're 26th in the country. I love that. And you know what? I like that kind of nose to the grindstone defense, especially in the Big 12 in these recent years, right? From 2014, 2018, that was the laughing joke. Big 12 can't tackle. It's changing a little bit right now, and I'm glad that, Joey McGuire's there. And what does he do on the defensive side of the ball? Oh, what does he do? Oh, I don't know. He plucks Tim DeRuyter from Oregon, one of the better defensive minds in college football, wants to coach at Texas Tech. When have we ever seen that happen, ever? In Joey McGuire's second year, he's sniping guys like Tim DeRuyter. I mean, everywhere he's been at Texas A&M, they went from 90th in the country to a top 25 defense when he was there. Fresno State, he was their head coach. Defensively, they got better every single year he was there. He was the DC at Cal a couple years. They weren't great teams, but they got better defensively every single year that he was there. Again, he's at Oregon last year. They didn't have the talent for what they wanted to do, and the Pac-12 had a lot of quarterbacks last year that are very good. But he's going to do awesome. And Zach Hitley, I want to talk about him as well because he was at Western Kentucky with Bailey Zappi, an forgotten college football hero. 62 touchdown passes when 2 years earlier, Joe Burrow threw 59. People were like, well, that's untouchable. And Billy Zapp throws Zapatron, zaps 62 tutters and 5,900 yards. It's no big deal. So he did that. That's what Zach Haley was a part of. So he's brought in a great staff. Their transfer portal ranking class was 56th. They brought in some guys, but the recruiting cycle, 2022, when he first came there, already improved. It was 46th in the country. And then this past year, 35th in the country. That's a big improvement from the years before. And they're right now recruiting at a top 20 level early, right? We're going to emphasize early. That's going to change, but he's already on his game. He's getting talent. He's getting coaches, and he's winning games. I love Joey McGuire.
Well, I'll say this, too. If you want to talk about hitting the ground running, not only year one on the field, but if you remember last summer, right, summer of 2022, for the recruiting class of 2023, they were the number 1 team in the country. They had the number 1 recruiting class. And I know that was summer, and so they had a ton of commits, way more than anybody else. But you know what that tells me? Is all those guys that committed were all takes. They were plan A's early on. And Joey McGuire was able to sell them on coming to them and getting them committed early. Right? As a Minnesota fan, I understand that is such a big factor. That's so important because not only do a lot of those guys shut down their recruitment, meaning they don't go to camps, so rivals camps or college camps, satellite camps, where they can
they're not taking official visits.
Yes, so that's why the recruiting ranking, yes, it's at 35, but it's actually, if you talk to them on staff, I'm sure they will say this, they feel a lot better than 35th because they got all those plan A guys. And what that tells me is that right away he was able to sell people on his vision for Texas Tech, and that's only going to improve with Tim DeRuyter, right? With their production on the field and the culture that he's bringing in there. And it doesn't hurt that you're in Texas, that you are, yes,
Yep.
you're fighting everybody in Texas and everybody else wants a hand in Texas, but there are 200 really, really good prospects to come out of Texas every single year, every single
Yep.
cycle. So yeah, I don't knock the pick at all. This would have been my pick too. I mean, there's some other notable guys that are on the board still, but this is a heck of a pick, and he's a heck
Yep.
of a coach.
And he was a high school coach not that long ago in Texas, so he's got those roots.